Okay, safety regulations. I also kind of oversee the safety stuff here, so if you have any questions, any problems, let me know, let your manager know, they'll get in hold of me. Here are the safety rules that we expect everybody to follow. We are a locked facility. We're a secure facility. Nobody is to enter without being properly identified. We do from time to time have contractors in here, people working on the air conditioning or whatever. Make sure if you see somebody you don't recognize, just say, "Can I help you?" And they'll probably tell you who they are. If it's someone that doesn't belong in the building, get your manager. Let somebody know, just for safety purposes. Do not operate any equipment without proper training. We don't want anyone getting hurt, so make sure you have instructions before you begin. Study and follow all the posted signs around the building. We do have buildings. We do have signs that tell you things are electrostatic sensitive, high power, whatever. Just make sure you follow all the signs and take the proper precautions. Know the emergency evacuation plan. We have maps on the walls and all the main hallways that will tell you, there'll be a star that says this is your location. Look at those maps for whatever area you're working in. Make sure you know where your fire exit is, where the closest exit to you. That will show you where the fire extinguishers are, where the fire pools are located. It'll show you the eye wash stations. There's a lot of good information on those maps, so just make sure you get familiar with those. We do have eye wash stations in several places throughout the building, so you guys working with the metals and stuff, you're going to want to make sure you know where those are. Just make sure you know where those signs are. Make yourself familiar with the building as you walk around. Just kind of look around. Your fire extinguishers are going to be located by the lab doors and in the hallways, so make sure you know where to find those if you need them. Use your safety glasses and other provided PPE. Pallets must always be stored flat on the floor. We are not allowed to stack pallets against the wall. That is a fall and crash hazard. That's an OSHA regulation. Do not stand pallets up on their end. Make sure you break down all cardboard boxes that are not being used. We want to keep the facility clean, and cardboard can be a fire hazard, so make sure that's broken down and taken care of. The paint in the model shop must be clean at all times. If you use the paint in the model shop, make sure you clean up after yourself. There's flammable cabinets in there for anything that's flammable. Make sure it's stored when you're finished. There are places to store the alcohol that go in the ultrasonic cleaner. If you use the ultrasonic cleaner and it has conformal coat floating in it, debris floating in it that can contaminate something else, make sure you drain it when you're finished. There are filters and paper for the paint booth. If they look soiled and need to be changed, let somebody know and we can provide those. There's also a can back there with a lid for soiled rags. So if you have solvent soiled rags, paint rags, you don't want to just throw those in the regular garbage can. They can combust. So just make sure that you follow all the procedures back there and clean up after yourself, because everybody in the building uses that room and we want to leave it nice for the next person. Store any food and drink you have away from your workstation. There are designated areas in each lab where you can put your coffee, your water, whatever. Do not have those at your workstation, please. Keep the kitchen clean. Clean up after yourself. Do your dishes. All containers need to be properly labeled. If you are using alcohol, acetone, any of that stuff, the labels have come off of it, let me know. We have to get labels on it so we have traceability and so we know what we're working with. So just make sure you look at everything. Make sure you keep your work area clean. There's several reasons for that, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. Part of that is safety. Part of that is safety of customer assets. Material safety data sheets are located in the database. IDMS is our database. Those are now called safety data sheets by the Global Harmonized System, so you may hear them called that, but it's the same thing. Basically, we want to make sure that we have chemical segregation. Our flammable cabinets are located in each lab, the model shop, and the machine shop, so there's no reason to have flammables sitting out that aren't being used. We have places to store those. Make sure acids are separated from bases. Make sure that oxidizers are separated from flammables, and that water reactives are separated from water and anything else containing easily extracted protons such as alcohol, acids, etc. those can have ugly reactions that you don't want to deal with. So just make sure you're aware of what you're working with. These are some of the symbols that you will see on the chemicals that you work with. The first one, it's pretty universal, skull and crossbones. That typically stands for poison, but it means it can cause death or toxicity with short exposure to small amounts. So if you see this on something, make sure you read your safety data sheet and have the proper protective equipment before you use it. The exclamation mark you will see a lot. That is something that stands for less serious health effects or damage to the ozone layer. Typically, if something's going to cause you a skin rash or irritation of some kind, you're going to see this on it. It's very common to see that on your products. This one is a little more serious. This one, if you see it, that means there's some health hazard associated with the chemical you're working with. It may cause or is suspected of causing some kind of problem. Some of the problems that these can cause, and not in all cases, but some of those things can be respiratory sensation, cancer, reproductive problems, target organ toxicity. It can cause problems with liver. Some of your MEKs and things of those things are toxic to your liver. So just be careful and make sure you know what you're working with and look at these little symbols before you pick something up. The top one, exploding bomb, explosion or reactivity hazards. We don't have a lot of stuff in the building that is explosive. We very, very rarely see that, but just so you're aware of what that is. Gas cylinder, gas is under pressure. You guys will see these down in the shop because we do have cylinders down there for the welding station. So just make sure you're aware that those are dangerous and need to be stored properly. Rich will go over all that information with you. The top symbol, people confuse these a lot, so I put these on the same slide so I could show you the difference. The top symbol is for flammable items. That is just the flame over a bar. And these are your fire hazards. The bottom symbol is a flame over a circle. That stands for oxidizer. If you put these two things together, it has an ugly reaction. You do not want to store those together. We have caught several times allodyne being stored in the flammables cabinet. Allodyne is an oxidizer. Please do not do that. If the two get together, they will explode. The top one is for corrosion. Can cause corrosive damage to metals as well as the skin and eyes. So if you see that on something, there's probably going to be a requirement for some type of gloves. Just make sure you read your safety data sheet. The bottom one means that it is damaging to the environment and to the water system. So if you see that on something, whatever you're working with cannot be disposed of in any manner that it's going to seep into the water system. So your best bet is anytime you use something up, ask. If it has a shelf life label on it, which we'll go over in a few minutes, you're going to have to bring it to me anyway. So best bet, safety bet, just bring it to the quality office and we'll take care of it. Okay, fire safety. We talked about the emergency floor plans, which are located in the hallways. The alarms are located, if you need an alarm pull, they are located by the main exit doors. There's one at the break room, there's one at shipping, the front office, and there's one in the engineering lab by the door that exits out the back. There's also one downstairs in the big model shop, machine shop, excuse me. So just make sure that you know where those are, make yourself familiar with the building. Exits and meetup points. You're going to want to exit out of the closest exit that's safe for you. So depending on what part of the building you're in. For you guys downstairs, you're going to want to go out the back as long as you're not going into the fire. Check your doors for heat and all that before you go through. You're going to want to go out the back into the back parking lot and around the building. Anybody upstairs from the engineering lab, if it's not safe to come this way through the building, there is a door in the back. You can go out the back and around the building. From these different areas, the signs will show you what your safest, quickest route is. Our meeting place is by the flagpole on the front lawn. So get out as quickly and as safely as you can, and we will do head count on the front lawn. Fire extinguisher usage. If you look through the handout that I gave you that has the sign-up sheet on the employee sheet on the front of it, there is a page in there that gives you fire extinguisher instructions.
Alert! Before using a fire extinguisher, ensure that someone notifies the fire department, alerts others about the fire, begins evacuating others from the premises. Fire extinguishers are for controlling small fires before they have a chance to spread. Before using one, make sure that you will have a clear escape, you are familiar with the operating instructions of the fire extinguisher, and that the fire extinguisher you have is suitable for the fire you're facing. Before using the extinguisher on a fire, look at the fire class symbols on the front label to make sure the extinguisher you have is suitable for the type of fire you're facing. The most common classes of fires are A, B, C, and K. Class A fires involve common combustibles like wood, paper, and tires. Class B fires involve flammable liquids like gasoline and petroleum oil. Class C ratings involve energized equipment or things that are plugged in, like appliances, computers, televisions, and electric machinery. Class K fires involve cooking oils and greases, like vegetable fats. Once you've determined that the extinguisher is the correct type for the hazard, proceed to operate the extinguisher using the pass technique to control and extinguish the fire. First, hold the extinguisher upright and pull the pin. Next, stand 8 to 10 feet from the fire and aim the nozzle at the base of the fire. Do not get too close or aim the nozzle too high. Once the nozzle is aimed at the base of the fire, squeeze the levers together to begin discharge of the fire extinguishing agent. Maintain your distance from the fire and sweep the nozzle from side to side, sweeping 3 to 6 inches beyond the right and left edges of the fire. Discharge the extinguisher until contents are exhausted to prevent reignition. Move around the fire to confirm it is completely extinguished. Your quick action can save lives and protect property.
Make sure you know how to use a fire extinguisher. Always fight a fire with your back to an exit. Do not ever pin yourself into a room where you don't have an exit to get to. If you don't feel safe fighting the fire, leave the building, call 911. The address here is 245 Industrial Park Road, and meet on the front lawn. We always want your safety first.